everybody, welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I like to talk about knitting and crocheting stuff and yarn and fluff stuff. My name is Stephanie. I live here on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island. It's a beautiful island covered in trees and nature and stuff, which is part of the reason I haven't really posted in a year, because I've been outside doing a lot of other stuff and doing sports and just being involved in a bunch of other things. But we're back. I did want to talk about all of the yarn that I acquired, so this whole video is just going to be about yarn and my future plans with all of said yarn. Some of it doesn't actually have a plan, so if you have any suggestions, that would be wonderful. Side note, I already had a fair amount of yarn in my closet. Not as much as some people's stashes, but I still had a decent amount. I told myself I wasn't going to buy yarn because I hadn't bought yarn in like the 3-ish years previous, apart from I think 2 different hanks of yarn. One for a project for a friend because I needed more of one color, and another for another project for another friend because she specifically wanted green and I didn't have the green. So I have always been knitting from my stash, and I was like, don't buy more yarn, you don't need more yarn, you have enough yarn. But then all these deals came up and life happened, and now I've got a bunch more yarn and probably won't buy more for the next few years, but at least this is what I have. So, carrying on. But I'm just going to get started with the fact that I got my knitting machine back. I have an 1890s Creelman Brothers sock knitting machine. It's cast iron. It's really cool. I had sent it off to a local manufacturer guy to try and build an extra part for it, because after I bought it, I realized that most of the other knitting machines have what's called an upthrow cam, which helps to guide the yarn up to, or guide the needles up to the yarn, and mine does not. So I tried to get an extra part made that I thought would work, but he couldn't figure it out, and I got it back 10 months later without a part built. But I do have it here. It's really cool. I can't really show it working yet because I haven't figured that out, but it's big chunker, and so you attach this part to a table of some form, and just by cranking this, it moves that piece around. And I have a few needles here, so you can see that as it goes around, those needles drop down, and then as it goes back, it brings them up. So if there actually was yarn on it, it holds the needles in place until these V cams kind of force it down. But it does require the tension of the yarn, so I was trying to get the part made. But anyway, part of all of the yarn I have is to use on this so I can eventually make socks for all of my friends and family for presents and stuff, because everyone likes socks, but they take a really long time. And I don't sometimes have the patience or the want to do all these things with my hands. So I figured getting a sock machine would be great because cranking is easier than knitting, and then I can save my hands for doing fun stuff like handstands because I've gotten really into that. Anyway, big pile. I'm going to get into all the stuff that I have plans for. First off, I went to Calgary last spring and also in the fall, but Custom Woolen Mills is in Calgary, which is really cool, so I got a lot of yarn. I told myself I would only get a little bit, and then I got to the point that I could barely shove it in my suitcase to get back, because I only did a carry-on, because I was only going for a couple weeks, and I was like, I can do a carry-on and a personal item. We're totally fine. And then it was almost not fine, and I was in panic mode, but luckily, the lady at the airport, she was like, that's a bit tight, it's a little bit too big, I don't think it's gonna fit. And I was like, oh no, and she's like, can you rearrange things a little bit? And as soon as I opened it and showed her that there was a bunch of yarn inside, she was like, oh, I got you. And she helped me a little bit, and we got through there, which was really great. So the first thing is I got a bunch. Oh my god, look at this, it's so good! This is 2-ply mule spinner yarn. It's really fluffy. It's all woolen spun because it's Custom Woolen Mills. So it's decent. I think it's like DK or something, but it's like nice and squishy. And I am going to make the Awen sweater by Meghan Babin. I was debating making another one that she has, but I just couldn't get over like the tag and like the little, the center panel in that sweater is so nice. And I'm probably gonna hate myself because this is dark, and everyone's like, cable knitting on dark yarn's the worst, but I was also like, I probably won't want to wear a light sweater as often, so I'm gonna get the dark sweater. And they didn't have that like cognac-y color. That would have been great, similar to the pictures of the Awen sweater. But I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of these, because I figured that from the pattern calculations I only needed 8, but I was also scared. So now we have 9, which is funny because I would not probably spend like $110 on a sweater, but will I spend $110 on the wool for a sweater and then spend like 70 plus hours knitting it and being frustrated? Yes. Yes, I will do that. But anyway, so this is the only thing I actually went to the store to get. This was it. But you know, knitters be knitters. We have problems. They also have a sale bin there because when you're at the factory, sometimes people will custom order something and then they decide, I don't actually like the price of that, or I don't like how it turned out, or whatever, and so then the mill will sell it at a sale price. So they had a bunch of these guys, just whole 4 packs of, 2 ply, 70% alpaca, 30% wool, so like super cozy and pretty soft. It is 2 ply. It's a bit thinner than the other stuff. Like, I wonder if I can pull a few up here. It's definitely a little bit thinner than the mule spinner stuff. You can see here. But it's really nice. It's got a decent amount of squish to it, but it's not, I don't know, I think it'll be great. It does feel a little bit more durable potentially than this stuff, which feels a bit fluffier. But I have 8 balls of this, so I'm pretty sure this is going to last enough for maybe a sweater if I ever get around to finishing other sweaters I have planned. And then Camilla Vad had a sale, so I bought her pattern for the field sweater. So I'm thinking this would actually be really cute for the field sweater, but I might also use it for some other sort of color work thing. But either way, I have a lot of alpaca wool, and it's going to be so cozy and so nice. While I was there, also, there was a market next to the place that I was doing my teacher training, and they had a yarn store, which is a problem, because check this out. Are these not the prettiest things ever? It is organic merino, and I think there's a little bit of something else in it. I can't remember. No, just 100% organic wool, but it's really soft and really fluffy, and it's a lot thinner. I don't know exactly what thickness that is, because I'm horrible at that kind of stuff. I'm just like, well, I'll just do a swatch and see what it looks like and see what I want to make. But no, apparently this is goldfinch. It's made with organic dyes as well, which is really, really cool. It was like $22 per one, which is, I think, a pretty decent deal. Does it say how many feet you get? 350 meters, and it says to use 4mm needles, but I don't believe that, because it's pretty thin. I don't think that would turn out too well with 4mm, but I also prefer denser knits because I feel like if I'm making it out of wool and it's going to be warm, I want it to be toasty, so I don't want that air getting through. But it also, I feel like this is going to fluff up. It's just so nice. I was thinking maybe just doing a simple garter stitch shawl because I'm currently working on one with single strand of the Briggs & Little Country Roving, because I have a bunch of singles, because when I'm making this certain type of toque pattern I use 2 strands of it, but it comes in 5 strands, so I roll them into 2, 2, and 1, and it's just a really adaptable pattern. I've used it for like people's names, I've used it just for random symbols, and then you can make a toque in like 5 or 6 hours, and it's easy peasy without like color work toque in 5 or 6 hours after you've made the pattern, whatever. But then I have a bunch of singles left and made a garter stitch shawl, and now I've got a plan to maybe make a shawl out of this. Unless you have any idea, please let me know. You can message me or put it in the comments or something. If you have any other particular pattern you think might look good with this kind of yarn, because I usually make my own patterns, and or I just get lost in Ravelry and can't make a decision. So if other people are like, do this, then maybe we'll do that. So I got a bunch of those. So now I have like basically 3 sweaters quantity of yarn, right? And I'm like, what am I going to do? But also there was one more in the sale bin. This one ply stuff. It's just wool. And there's 3 of these smaller hanks of, I don't know, some sort of like purpley color. I think in real life it's a little bit more purple than it's showing up on my camera. And it's got a bit of green, so I'm not sure if the green is really showing up. It looks a bit browner, but the green is more vibrant in real life, and the pinky color is not as red as it's showing up currently. And then it's got a bunch of that. So I thought that might be also a sweater. Maybe some sort of color work, I don't know. Or I could just make like a whole plethora of matching toques, or or beanies, I guess, as other people in the world call them, but from Canada, it's called a toque. It's like a little hat. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. I'm quite excited about this. I haven't been knitting as much recently, but I have plans. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I think this is going to be a good color work or something, or just like alternating rows of the gray and the purpley stuff. But I don't know. We'll find out. It is definitely varying in thickness. Like you can see in this end of it, it's very, like, there's some thin stuff, there's a little bit of thicker stuff, so I don't want to do something that needs to have a super consistent yarn. The gray is really consistent. Color isn't. I have plans though. Anyway, that was $24. Like, you can't get 6 hanks of 100% wool for $24. It just doesn't happen. Anyway, so that was that. But also last year, close to my birthday, I was in Victoria visiting my mother, and there happened to be a garage sale that happened to have a bunch of wool at very good prices. So that was a bit of a problem. And because I have this now sock knitting machine back that I'm going to figure out how to use, I was like, well, I need to have a bunch of yarn to make socks for all my friends. Yeah, so there's a few that didn't really have tags, like this random black one that feels like some of the bamboo wool combos, but there's no tag in it, so I have no idea. And it was only $5, but this is probably going to be enough to make a pair of socks. So like $5 pair of socks, right there we go. And it's jet black, so like anybody will take that. Super easy. I got a bunch of this Rowan tweed stuff. I'm not sure if you guys have used, or felted tweed. I don't know. They're all this like felted tweed. 3 slightly different colors. So I could use that for something color work because they are all the same gauge. But it also seems like it would be a really good sock yarn. How much do you get? 75% wool, 25% hemp. All the plant fibers, made in Italy. Super cool. Really soft, actually. And I'm not, like, it's not really tweedy, because I'm not a huge fan of the super tweedy stuff. I just end up picking things off, and then you end up ruining your item that you spent a bajillion years making. Does it even say how much we get? Approximate length 95 meters. So I'm not sure how much that's going to make, but who cares? We've got lots of it. We've got 3. Well, this one's a Sausalito, which is merino nylon, but anyway, actually 4 of them. So yeah, this is a Sausalito. Never heard of that brand before. It's a bit like rougher, not quite as, I guess, woolly as this. It just feels more synthetic, even though it's not really. Well, it's got the nylon in it, but nylon's usually soft. Anyway, this is definitely a sock wool. I think it'll be good. It feels durable. And it's got this cute color. Like, I'm not sure if that's going to show up on the thing, but it's kind of variegated. It reminds me a little bit of, like, the spin cycle kind of stuff. But, like, kind of browns, purples, like, earthy, but very muted. Definitely socks. So that'll be super good. And all those are only $5 each. Oh! I love knitters. They're so good. I also got these 2 little tiny Sweet Georgia samples. Apparently it was a pack of 3 and she used one. But this will be so good for reinforcing things and just adding when you're doing heels or whatever, because, you know, heels wear down. And these will not as much because there's more nylon in them and mohair. Yeah, so cool. There was a couple of really, really cute ones. Like, this is like a very pumpkin spicy color. It's one of my favorite colors. It just feels so, like, warm and cozy and like cinnamony hot chocolate kind of color. But this one, it's a superwash. There's a few superwashes. What are you gonna do? 80% merino, 20% nylon, and it's great because I have friends that don't like to hand wash things. So once again, sock knitting machine to the rescue. Yeah, it's sequoia color. I don't think it really looks like a sequoia tree, but maybe I'm missing out. Anyway, pumpkin socks. That'll be a thing. I'm not a huge fan of purple, but purple pink. Well, I like purple. Maybe not pink so much. But there was a bunch of this one. This was clearly like a few, or maybe a couple hanks together. It's another Rowan one. It's a fine art premium hand painted sock yarn. Super fancy. Made in South Africa. Like, who makes this stuff? What is even the content on this one? It's got 400 meters, so it's super fine. And it is 45% wool, 30% mohair, maybe, and 25% polyamide and 10% silk. So definitely a sock yarn. Like, what else are you going to do with this? But browns, pinks, I don't know. Some people will like that, but I'm certainly not going to knit all of this. Oh, actually, I totally could. I was definitely thinking I don't want to do this by hand because it would be really annoying, but I also may have downloaded the Summer Secret Crop pattern by Jessie Made Designs because it looks nice, and I have friends that'll wear that stuff, but this could be good for it. Or I can make socks because, you know, on the sock trend. So that's kind of it for like sock yarns from that batch, except for this other one that was, it's another like, it's a silk merino, but yeah, check it out. More of those like pumpkin colors for the fall. So since I'm really slow with things, maybe by the time I actually knit something with it, it'll be ready for fall time. Yeah, super pumped on that. And then there was a lady in Victoria who hand spin stuff, but then didn't like how the colors turned out, and so she was giving it away for a super cheap price. And like, check this out. I don't even know if like it's so uniform. It's like it came from a machine, but she hand spun all of this, and she doesn't remember what material it was other than that it was mostly wool. There might be some nylon in it, but there are some like, I'm not sure if you can kind of see, it's like fuzzy a little bit. So maybe there's mohair. I don't know. She doesn't remember either. This one is definitely smoother, and it feels more like cottony. But I don't know. See, she doesn't know. I don't know. I'm going to make something out of it. Maybe we'll do dishcloths or something. Like, that's so cute. Or maybe the Summer Secret crop top. Yeah. And then also this one. She thinks it was alpaca. And like that kind of, you know, feels like the right vibe. Super dense ball. Super thin. Like, whew, that's going to be real fun to knit with. It's going to take forever. And my camera won't focus. But that's okay. Anyway, so that's, I have no idea what I'm doing with this. But these are definitely going to be like socks or the crop top. And this is like squishy. So maybe just like some fluorescent sort of cowl maybe for my friends because they're all bonkers. Oh yeah, and then there was this like spin cycle type yarn, also no tag. This was from the garage sale though. And like socks. Everything's just socks. More things from the garage sale that are not sock related. This is from this cute little farm. What is it? Long Way Homestead. And they actually tell you the name of the sheep that it came from. So this one came from Ella. It's a worsted weight, 200 yards about. They don't obviously exactly know, but yeah. Which is funny because back at like a while ago, I was like, I'm not going to get things where I only have one ball of it and I won't be able to make anything because I only have one ball. But it had the sheep's name on it, and I guess I was just having a really good day. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Maybe just like a toque or something, because that feels like a good idea. But there was a bunch of stuff in the garage sale that, pardon all of my things, came in multiples. So everyone's been talking about British breed yarns the last little while, and she had 3 left over from a big project she did. So it's just 100% wool, British breeds from Rowan. And so that probably shows up backwards on the, because I'm in selfie mode. Yeah, but like I was thinking this stuff, because it's pretty thick, maybe since there's 3 of them, I could make like a little vest for a human in my life, because that'd be really cute. Could do like a little thing, and I'd probably have to add more wool to add to like other things, but I think little sweater vest, super cute. Maybe. Also, I've never knit with Lopi, but this literally just came with a sticky note that said 2-ply Lopi from Ribstone Farm. I don't know where that is. I think it's a local thing. So I've got 2 balls of 2-ply Lopi, and it's like reasonably thin, but it definitely feels like that really rustic, like Stanfield sweater like vibe. So I don't have a plan for this one. This one could be socks, because it does feel like it would be like the warmest socks ever. And I do get Raynaud's in my toes. I might have mentioned that before. It's a circulatory issue. And so if my feet get too cold, then like the circulation just completely cuts off and my toes go white. And it can be bad in winter type situations, because then you're more prone to getting frostbite. So I always try and keep my feet nice and warm and have extra room in my boots for my toes to wiggle, which is hard. But Icelandic wool, something special is going to happen with this. But I don't know. I could pair it with the British beads and make like some sort of thing, but I might have to double this up because it's not quite as thick. I don't have plans for everything. The last two things, oh, there was three things actually. Don't know where that other one went. That I got from, well, okay, there's more than two things. I lied. Looking at this pile, everything's hiding. But there's this whole massive hank, I think it's like a 200-gram hank of alpaca. It's just 100% alpaca. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it's pretty. And then a colored mohair. So this obviously has to do something special, but because it's a mohair, it's kid silk, it's silk 28% and kid mohair 72%. So it's 460 yards. So this will last forever. I don't know. Same thing, if you have suggestions, let me know. I just haven't really knit with mohair yet, so I don't know how that's gonna go. I've heard it can be awful to frog, and that happens because mistakes. Anyway, but it's so cool. Look at these colors, right? Probably, once again, I don't really like pink, but I thought this was great, and so it's gonna end up being a gift for somebody because that is apparently my life. These two, some sort of soft something. Once again, like, what do you do with 2 hanks of yarn? I have no idea, but I bought 2 of them, and now we're stuck with them. More color work in my future, and this was one of my favorites from the thing. It's called Loft, 100% American wool, grown in Wyoming. This is called the Snowbound colorway, and there's 275 yards of fingering weight yarn. This whole thing is only 50 grams, I think it was. Yeah, 50 grams. And it's like the same size as, I don't know. Okay, this one's quite fluffy still as well. But that's 100 grams, it's 50 grams. It's so squishy and so soft, and I feel like it'll be the warmest thing ever. But I don't know what to make with it. Yeah, too many choices. My friend ended up gifting me some of the Canadian buffalo spun stuff. I think this one might actually be buffalo yarn, which is super cool. And so it just comes, same thing as like the Briggs and Little Country Roving, it comes with multiple strands all wrapped around together. So I'm probably going to separate this because the only reason you'd keep it together is if you're doing a Cowichan style sweater, and I don't necessarily have the skills to do that. So I have a big white one. It's so soft. You could just take this camping and use it as a pillow. But that, I think, we'll just make more of those toques that I've made. Got like a Dubec toque that I made for the guy that was working on the knitting machine. We'll probably make more of those. And then the last things that I have that I think are really cute, and everybody loves those frogs. So I went and finally got mohair. It's so fluffy. So this is just the cheaper stuff because I have never knit with it before and I didn't know what I was doing. I got Drops Kid Silk, Unicolor, soft and luxurious and super kid mohair and silk. So this is 75% mohair, 25% silk. It's not as soft as the other brands that do the kid silk mohair, but I'm gonna make those frogs that everybody's been making for the past few years. I couldn't decide whether I wanted like the brownie color or the green color to make the frogs, so obviously I got both. And then I'm gonna pair that with yarn that I got years ago when I was in Victoria at a store that doesn't exist anymore. It was North by Knit West instead of Knit by Northwest because they're on like the northwest side of North America. And so I'm pairing those 3 colors with these 3 yarns that I have that are also kind of fine. So this is just Haynes Creek Heathers, but the gathering yarn. And I've used these to like patch other things that I've made for people, or like little sweaters that whatever, or if you just need like a little bit of yarn for something. So I've used little bits of these before for that. And this is just 100% wool. Pure Highland wool, actually, if that matters. And I'm going to use these paired with these. Not getting the order right, but that's okay. And then I'm going to make the frog because I want to make frogs. And so I ended up looking through Claire Garland's patterns, and she's got a bunch of really cute ones, and they're actually pretty well priced. Like some of them are only $2 Canadian, so of course I had to buy some. I got the Up to Mischief White Mice, which is this cute little mouse like holding its paws in front. Obviously I'm going to have a lot of white because the white is on the belly of the frogs, and I've got 2 of the backs. If I end up, there's no way I'm making that many frogs, but I'm going to make the mouse. There's also a little baby bunny, which is really cute. I really like how the different directions of the knitting kind of create like the different shapes on the bunny. So I'm going to try that one. And then I also got a Doormouse on a Pear, which looks kind of intimidating, but it's really cute. And then I got the frog pattern, obviously. So I'm going to be making those, and maybe I will hate knitting small things after that. I'm not sure. But now I have all the patterns, so if I get bored, I could totally do that over the summer in the heat. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be the fall. It'll mostly likely be the fall because summer is meant for going to the river and stuff. I also did, I think that's all the things. I did end up buying a couple more patterns. There's the Ioana shawl by, I wrote it down, Junko Okamoto. I'm totally butchering that. But it's super cool because the pattern of the stitches follows the triangle shape of the shawl, but then the color goes sideways, and the actual stitch itself looks really, really cool. So that's why I bought that pattern, just to learn that stitch, because I want to be able to learn more things. And then I also got the field sweater by Camilla, which I mentioned earlier, and then I'm going to make that summer secret crop. So currently, that is what is going on. I'm surrounded by a lot of yarn, and I have a lot more knitting to do. I will make another video about where I actually am on projects, because I have been able to get a bit further in the last year. It's just been very slow because my 2 jobs picked up, and then I also became an acro yoga teacher, and that ended up taking up a lot of time, because then I ended up being more active and starting a handstand club too. So I haven't had as much time for knitting, unfortunately, but now I have all this yarn out, and I'll be moving potentially at some point soon, so I might have more time to knit, I hope. Anyway, if you saw anything here that I didn't say I had a plan for, and you're like, hey, this would be a really good idea, please let me know, because decisions are hard. But apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my plethora of yarn, and I will see you guys again in the future. Bye!